Did you have one? You look like you were
No, Kella has one.
Wait,
I'm going to destroy you in disc golf.
you're going to destroy me in disc golf. Is that going to take a whole weekend, or is that just going to take 1 round?
I'm going to take the rest of the fall.
Cynia.
So Josh here is going to rent a hot air balloon that's apartment size, and he's going to bake pumpkin seeds and eat them for his weekend. So while he's in the hot air balloon.
That is exciting. Do you guys have him back there?
Yeah, he has a good one.
I said that the ultimate fall weekend would consist of flag football or ultimate frisbee, sitting on a campfire, preferably in Turkey Run, hiking, preferably in Turkey Run, and playing cards.
So this
Preferably to take you out. I'm catching a trend here from last.
Turkey
Cool.
Run this weekend. So
Pretty much.
Do you have a list written down here?
No.
Okay.
So a log cabin with my cat. And a fireplace with unlimited hot chocolate and a guitar and friends and a lake and a hot tub and a blanket.
Okay, that was fall retreat right up until the hot tub.
Not bad. That's good. Fall retreat. So basically the same thing, right? Is he?
Epic bear hunt with my entire family.
Your family's going on a bear hunt.
Hey, that's fun.
Anyone? I thought I saw some other. Anybody else? Yes.
Sleeping and reading all day and then drinking tea.
And turkey
Nice.
Cough, cough.
Turkey Run was not cold. It didn't rain.
Anybody else? Alright, there's some rockin' fall weekends. Let's bring it back. So I'm gonna try to blaze through the rest of this, guys. Took way too long in the outline, but we're gonna move. So try to hang with me now that your minds are renewed. You've had a chance to talk amongst yourselves for a second, and hopefully bring back the concentration. And then afterwards, remember, if that whole breaking up in the middle thing was a great idea, you can thank me. If it was a terrible idea, blame Dave. Remember? Dave, nice to have you back. So, all right, so Hebrews, very interesting. We talked about some different things about it, but it's kind of cool because, are you guys familiar with Consumer Reports? It's kind of like a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
A few of you. Consumer Reports is basically a magazine. You guys know what magazines are? It's kind of like a pamphlet of paper, but there's more colors and words. And they have like different things. You can get a magazine for just about anything. They've got all sorts of stuff. It's almost like a web page, but like a hard copy. Like if you were to print out a web page and like somebody was to print that out for you once a month and send it to you, that's a magazine. Okay? So the Consumer Report, they also have a website probably that you could just go to. But the magazine or website is basically this group of people that reviews stuff. Like anything. If you're looking for like a vacuum cleaner or a car or a new cell phone, or you really want to dive into the smartphone market, you could try that out. Or pretty much anything you can imagine. I don't know if they review fall weekends actually, come to think of it. So that wouldn't work. But anything that you want to buy, like stuff, things, they will probably be able to tell you what's awesome about things that you can buy and what's terrible about things that you can buy. They do pretty in-depth reviews, and it's pretty neat. Interesting thing about the book of Hebrews is that it's kind of like this consumer report talking to us about Jesus. Why Jesus is better than this, why it's better than that, kind of the pros. Usually Consumer Reports have pros and cons. There's a breakdown here because Jesus has no cons. That makes him the best. Thank you. So he's the best. So we've got this comparison between Jesus and this Old Testament Judaism that people were falling back to in this letter. And if you put the things side by side, which is what this guy's doing, we see what's better, right? So it's becoming pretty clear. So like I said, we know these recipients a little bit. I want to read just a couple verses here about our recipients in this letter. It's in chapter 10, verse 32 through 36. But recall the former days, when after you were enlightened, you endured a hard struggle with suffering, sometimes being publicly exposed to reproach and affliction, sometimes being partners with those so treated. For you had compassion on those in prison. You joyfully accepted the plundering of your property, since you knew that you yourselves had a better possession and an abiding one. Therefore, do not throw away your confidence, which has a great reward. For you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the will of God, you may receive what is promised. These few verses, like, sum up this book in such a small space, and it's so great, and I want to talk more about that. So that's super cool. This is, if you were to write down like just a section to study to really grab hold of the push, the thrust of Hebrews, this would be it. So that's chapter 10, verses 32 through 36. Definitely worth meditating on and studying. Yeah, so they've done good in the past. They have continued, but this is an encouragement to keep on continuing. So there's a good possibility that there was those who were faltering, falling away, going back into their Judaism, going back into the following of the Old Testament. But rather than whoever this writer was, I wish there was a name. What should we call him? Like Bub? Bub? Bub's good. I like Bub. So Bub here, like, rather than saying, "Hey, you idiots, look back at Jesus. Forget this other crap." Like, he doesn't just like yell at them. Bub says to these people, he says, "Look what's best. You guys are missing out." It's not a yelling. It's just like a reminder. Hey guys, you know what's best. This Jesus, whom you used to be following completely and are now kind of slipping away from. He was your best option. Go back to that. So it's kind of cool. It's neat that he's really trying to encourage them towards the good rather than yelling at them for the bad. Due to their Jewish background, when those among this group, we kind of talked about this already, when they tended to falter away from Christ, when they were kind of folding into the persecution, their tendency is going to be to go back to what they knew. Being Hebrews, being Jews, they were likely raised up since they were like able to do anything and think anything and say anything. They were raised up Jewishly, following this old law. So that's naturally what they're going to fall back to. Yeah, Christ is better than Judaism. All right, let's say we just talked about some different things that you guys like, maybe in a fall weekend. Let's say that I make a promise to you, all right? And beyond that, let's say that I regularly promise to do things for you guys, all right? Like, I promise to take you guys to Kalahari and Cedar Point, and we like a couple years back, we did this trip to Europe, and all of us, we all go, we have great times, but let's just say this is a fictional thing. I'm not promising any of these things to you guys, so don't hold me to this, but let's say for the sake of looking at this and getting an interesting perspective, let's say that I regularly promise great things for you guys, and every single time I come through, right? So each one of you, I just found out what your favorite ideal fall weekend is. I wrote it all down for the sake of this class. I didn't write any of these down. I'm not going to do any of these for you guys. I like you all, but I don't have those kind of means. But let's say that I wrote down everything, and I'm going to treat you guys all in 3 weeks to your ideal fall weekend. All right? It's going to be awesome. You guys are going to get to do exactly what you want on your fall weekend. It's going to be great. You're going to have a blast. And you're used to these things happening, right? Like, I'm somebody that always comes through for you guys. I'm that kind of guy, so that's pretty cool. I get to be that guy. You get to have fun. So that's awesome. Congratulations. Now, let's say that these next 3 weeks, before that happens, you've got kind of some junk going on in your life. You've got maybe a lot of homework coming in. Maybe your parents are riding you about something that maybe you haven't been cleaning your room, or maybe you've been having difficulty being submissive to your parents, or maybe your best friend and you aren't getting along very well these days. And so, like, these next 3 weeks are going very poorly. What's going to be something that gets you through these difficult times? Like when you're dragging through class and you're like, oh, I hate all my classes. Why am I even here? What's going to be something that you remember to kind of keep a smile on your face? Upcoming weekend, exactly. You guys got something to look forward to. This is exciting, right? So you've got this great weekend coming up. And so even though this kind of junk is going on in your life, you're still not too bogged down because there's an end. In 3 more weeks, I'm going to have the best time of my entire fall, right? Because it wouldn't be the best time in your whole life because I've taken you on trips before that were the best time in your whole life. So like this is just the best time of this fall. So it's going to be awesome. But yeah, so you're looking forward to this. So that's what's going to get you through difficult times in your week. Yeah, but the key thing is here, so now real Wade here, if I were to say, Chad, all your dreams are coming true in 3 weeks, I'm going to make it all happen, you're going to be like, well, I guess that'd be nice, but you've never really done anything like that for me in the past, so, and maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. You're not going to ride on that for 3 weeks and really all your confidence is based in it, right?
Never.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So Chad pretty much is going to disregard any promise like that I make to him because it's ridiculous. I mean, like I say, I like Chad, but like I don't have the ability to make a lot of dreams come true really for you guys. I mean, I do what I can, but I'm limited. But the fictional me that does make all your dreams come true, you guys have a ton of confidence in. So you are going to be able to ride on that knowing that, one, it's going to be an awesome weekend. Two, Wade makes these promises all the time, always comes through. 3, Wade has pretty much infinite means and so can make all your dreams come true, right? I'm rich, I've got time, I've got all sorts of things going for me that I like to pass on to you guys. So you've got confidence based in these things so you can get through your week. But what if one of those things breaks down? Let's say, for example, I love to do stuff for you guys and all that, and you guys have a great weekend in mind, but I just don't have any money and I don't have any time. And so, like, even though I've got great intentions, I can't really do the stuff for you guys. Or, what if I've got time and money, but rather than going with your dream weekend, I say, all right, guys, we're going to go to Center Lake and we're going to work all weekend. Sorry, that was a joke. Bad joke. So, but rather than doing what you want to do for your entire weekend, let's say that you're going to come to my house and there's actually all these weeds and stuff in my pond that I've been meaning to get out. And I've chosen, now that it's cold, to make you guys get in there and take them all out. That's your dream weekend! Yay! Let's do it, right, guys? Something like that's not going to get you through difficult 3 weeks, right? I mean, you're going to be going through these difficult times and thinking, oh, it's only going to get worse when I have to go to Wade's house. Right? So these things are not going to be helpful. You're not going to have any hope for the future. You're not going to have any confidence in what's going on because, like, it's bad now, but it's going to get worse later when I got to go to Wade's weekend of horror, right? So, or what if, let's say I'm that guy from our fiction where everything great's going to happen, but you guys have terrible memory. All right, so things are going bad during these 3 weeks, and in just like a week and a half's time, you have completely forgotten about this weekend that's coming up. What's going to get you through these 3 weeks? Like, what do you have to look forward to? You've already forgotten. So, like, you're in the middle of your crappy time, and you're not really thinking of anything you're looking forward to. You're just thinking, well, my best friend is being a jerk, and this girl that I've been trying to give her attention isn't giving me any attention. In fact, last time I, like, said, hey, you're doing like this. So, this week's going horrible, and nothing's horrible.
Horrible.
It's really bad. It's like terrible and horrible, but it's worse than both put together. So this is bad.
That was awesome. I do that all the time. I feel so happy someone else did.
I did it on purpose for you.
Okay.
No, so this is terrible, or horrible, and horrible. But I've forgotten about what was going to get me through it, and so it's like nothing good is happening at all, right? So it doesn't really matter, right? But that's what this letter is about. Is there was great things promised to these people, and Bub is writing and saying, hey guys, this is like we get to week 1.5 and you guys have all forgotten, and I send out a, what's the best way to get a hold of you guys?
Reminder text.
Email? Text.
Obviously.
No, I stop by each of your houses and I say, Grace, that weekend that you've been looking forward to is coming up in a week and a half. How excited are you? And you're gonna go from being down in the pits to be like, oh yeah, that's awesome. So Grace is now happy again, right? Because she has been reminded of the great things that are to come. That's what's going on here. Is these people, like, they were down in the pits. They were following a religion that had no more point. Jesus was the point of Judaism, and they missed it. And so now they're down in the pits and they're being persecuted and they're having a hard time. And Jesus comes and says, hey, it's me. This is what we've been waiting for. Come follow me, and I will give you all these awesome things. This book here, for those of you who have read it and studied it, like, you know that this book is full of awesome promises that God has given to those who follow him. Like, we have promise of, one, having a purpose here on earth, but way, way, way bigger than that. We have a promise of an eternity with an awesome God who is incredible and beyond our wildest imagination, and in a perfect world where sin and death is gone, and pain and suffering are no more, and we get to spend time with those who we love and who love us. And ultimately, though, the best of the best is that the coolest person that we could ever imagine is nothing. The most awesome person we could ever imagine is nothing compared to Jesus, who we get to spend an eternity getting to know more about. And he's someone who is so big and so awesome that it will take an eternity for us to try to get to know him, and we still won't be able to know him fully. It's going to be an awesome time, and we have these promises. But then, at some point, things get so hard that this is what happened here, we forget. We forget these promises. We can forget that we have something to look forward to, and we start getting bogged down with what's going on right now with our girlfriend that's left us. But for these people, it was worse even. Like, there was, like, for you guys, like, if something's going wrong, I don't want to minimize the pain and the difficult things that you go through, because I know that, like, being a person is hard. Like, life is difficult. Like, when your friends are mean to you, like, that is painful. Like emotional pain is real pain. If your homework is bogging you down and you have like 1,000 things on your plate and you just can't seem to do all of them, that is difficult. Like, I don't want to minimize that at all. But these people here, like, were being dragged into the street and publicly humiliated. They were being, like, mocked and beaten and abused, like, physically, emotionally. Like, they were being truly persecuted. Like, this was intense. And so, in the midst of that, there were those among the group that were like, I can't do it anymore. They start to think more about the persecution than about the hope and the future and the promise that Christ has promised them. And so they have forgotten what they were looking forward to. They have a great thing coming to them that should be able to get them through all these things. And it's not that Jesus is less now in the difficult times. It's not that his promises are less in the difficult times. But in difficult times, we can tend to forget. So that's what's happened here, and that's why this book is so awesome and is so important. That it's a reminder. It's, hey guys, Jesus is better than better. Jesus is best, right? So, where was I? Lost my place. So, God is awesome. He's made awesome promises. So this sounds nice, right? But what I just told you is that awesome God, perfect God, has made awesome promises to those who follow him, right? This is true. I'm telling you, this is absolutely true. This isn't fake Wade. This is real Wade, who has studied the Word, who has lived a lot of life and seen a lot of things, and has a relationship with God, and has personally experienced this. And know that God has awesome things in store for us. But for you guys, I'm telling you this. But what if you don't know who God is? What if you don't think he's someone that can keep his promises? What if somebody in here doesn't even know any of the promises that God has made? What if you don't belong to God? What if you don't know how to belong to God? What if you don't know what it means to belong to God? Like, if any of these what if statements are true for you, then the great things that I just said aren't going to mean that much to you. It's like the previous example of me. Like, if I can't fulfill my promises, what good are my promises, right? If you don't know what I'm promising you, what good's my promise? Like, you don't get hope from something that you don't know anything about. So, I want you to think about this. Like, any of these what if statements. What if I don't know God? What if I don't know if he can keep his promises? What if I don't know what promise he's made? What if I don't understand the great promises? What if I don't belong to God? What if I don't know how to belong to God, or what it means to belong to God? If any of these statements are true, I don't want this to be a time for you to feel bad or left out, but this is an opportunity, because this is a great time, because you are surrounded by leaders who know the answers to these things, who would love to talk to you. You're surrounded by peers, by students who have spent time and energy and have a relationship with this God and know who he is and know his promises and are confident in these promises and know how to belong to him and know what that looks like and know what that means. So you have an opportunity to ask questions and to have the answers to all these things so that you can have that hope. So when the time is difficult, you can rely on this awesome God who has made these awesome promises. But for that to happen, we need to know. And I wish, my time here in Hebrews doesn't allow for me to talk about all of those things, but to be an encouragement to you to find out those things. what I want to show in just a moment here is that these things need to build upon each other. If any of these things, all those what if, like if you don't know God, all those things, if those are true, you cannot have the full hope that is described in Scripture. You cannot have the full hope that this author of Hebrews is encouraging the Hebrews to have. But for you guys, let's switch gears a little bit. So for you guys, it's not difficult for you to stay away from the Old Testament sacrifices, right? Sarah, when was the last time that you thought, oh, maybe I should just sacrifice a goat today and things will be better? That happen often? Not so much anymore? You broke that habit?
Yeah.
Good for you. It was a little gross. So, but you guys don't struggle with that. So how does this book apply to you, right? The point of this book, kind of the basis of why it was written, is that these Jewish people were trying to find hope in not Christ, right? Like they were looking for hope in this Old Testament law, but you could really fill in the blank of anything, because anything that is not Christ is not what?
Best.
Not best, right? We have the best. We've got the best option. Why would we go with something less than the best, right? Nothing but the best for us. So let's go for that. But we can find something else to try to seek our hope in. Like I said, if I could only get her to like me, then everything would be okay. If I was just a little bit more popular, then maybe I could get through the day. If I was good enough on the football field, everything's going to be great. If I go to church, youth group every week, God's going to love me. If I could afford to get the new iPhone 5, my life would be complete. If only I had a job, I could afford to get all the things that I want. If I could just get my mage in WoW to level 90.
Is that even the cap?
If I
Get
had
out
more
of here.
money, that would be great. If I didn't have to go to school, then I could actually like make something of my life rather than being living through this stuff all the time. If my parents would get off my back, I could do what I want because I know what's best, right? So these are examples that just popped into my head as I was writing down a list of things. You guys, I mean, maybe some of those would register for you. Maybe you have your own things, but I would challenge you as we leave here tonight. Take some time this week, maybe even this night, and think about what are some things that maybe you are placing your hope in. What are the things that, like, if you're going through a hard time, you're thinking, oh, if I could just have this or do this, it gets you through the day. Because anything that you could think of, anything that you could say, if it's not Jesus, it's not best, right? So, examine your life, think about it. We have in our society today, I don't know where this came from, where it started, but we have this horrible misconception of hope and faith. Hope and faith being huge themes in this book. I want to make sure we know what they are. A lot of times we can think that hope is like, oh, I hope my team wins the game tonight, or gee, I'm going to be outside camping this weekend. I really hope it doesn't rain. That's like weak hope. That's like some little weak idea of a word. Or we think that faith is just believing in something without any reason, right? I believe that who's the worst team in the NFL right now?
Colts.
Colts. All right. So I believe that they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. You just gotta have faith, man. You just gotta have faith. You know, I mean, that's not founded. I just have faith that's going to happen because that's what it is. I can't explain it any other way because there's no logical reason. So I'm going to call it faith. That's not what faith is. That's not what hope is. So, where'd I go? Here we are. So let's start. To get a fuller definition, let's not start with like these little weak definitions. Let's start with Jesus because we're already talking about the best, right? I have my whiteboard. I'm not going to draw on this. Let's pretend that I did, all right? So we've got Jesus here, right? I root. Jesus is our base, all right? Jesus is the best. Hey, what time am I supposed to be done? Like now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
Sorry. So we've got Jesus. Jesus is where we're starting because he's the best. We've already talked about him. He's better than anything. He's better than the Old Testament rule. He's better than anything else we could want. He's the best because he is perfect. He is God. He has power. He created us. He loves us. He cares about us. He is the best, right? So, if he's the best, which you're going to have to just agree with me on, we have to have faith in Jesus that the things that he promises us are going to come true. Is that blind faith? To say, well, Jesus promised me these things, and I believe it's going to happen just because. So I'm going to say it's faith. It's based on nothing, right? No, that's wrong. Because we can look through the Bible, we can look through the Old Testament, the New Testament, and see that God makes tons of promises. And we can see the fulfillment of these promises. We can see that God does not break his promises. We can see that he is ever, always faithful. So we can trust, one, that God will not break his word, will keep his word. So he's made these promises, he's going to keep them. We can also have a confidence that God is completely all-powerful. So if he wants to keep his promises, which he does, nothing can stop him from keeping his promises. So that's pretty cool. So our faith then in Jesus and in his promises isn't something that is unfounded and just kind of insubstantial because we don't have any reasons, we're just going to believe it on faith. Like, our faith is based upon this evidence that God keeps his promises. So that's what that is. And then hope kind of springs out of that. If we have a solid faith, which is a confidence in Jesus, in the best, that he has made these promises, that they are going to come true, that's what gives us hope. Hope is built on that solid confidence, built on that solid perfectness of the person of Jesus Christ. So all these things are built together, and there's nothing shaky, there's nothing insubstantial about it. Hope is based on the concreteness of who Jesus is, his own faithfulness, his power, his promises. And so our hope is not like, oh, I sure hope it's not going to rain. Our hope is, things are going terribly. Maybe we're getting persecuted. Maybe life is just not turning out how we thought it was going to. Maybe, who knows, fill in the blank. Things are going terribly. But you still have a hope, that confidence, that through all this, Jesus is in control, God is in control. Maybe it may be difficult, but it's ultimately good for you. And we can have a confidence in that, even though that's hard to grasp sometimes. But also, like that, but way beyond that little weekend that you were looking forward to during the hard week, right? We're looking forward to an eternity, which is a long weekend. In paradise, which is way beyond the cabin in the woods next to the fire. With Jesus, who is better than any of your friends. So like, this is awesome. Like, this is our hope that we hold to when things are difficult, when things are great, because like even in the best of times on earth, like if we're reminded of the awesomeness of the hope that we have for the future, even our best times fade away and we can look forward to that and say, wow, this is going to be awesome. And that is worshipful to our God as we realize how awesome he is. So that is our hope, that is our confidence. But remember, for us to have that hope, we first need to know God. We need to know who he is. We need to know he is faithful. So I would challenge you. This is what I want to leave you with, is for us to have that hope. And Hebrews, hope. Dave likes to go with the alliteration for these, so that was kind of the two words I picked. Hebrews, hope, right? Hebrews, hope. Good. Hope is great.
Nice.
So
like that gets some snaps.
Thank you. But for us to have that hope, we cannot have that hope if we don't know who God is, and we don't know that he is faithful, and we don't know that he is able. So first I would say study who God is. Talk to your friends about who God is. It's an awesome topic. It's an incredible topic. Secondly, look into the promises that God has made. Look at the ones that he has fulfilled already, and look at the ones that have not yet been fulfilled and are going to be awesomely fulfilled. Because if we don't know his promises, and we don't know who he is, we have nothing to base our hope upon, right? So there is no hope. So what's the point of Hebrews, right? So that is my challenge. That's what I want to leave you with, is check these things out. Look at God. See God. Understand who he is. And look at the promises that he has made, because they are incredible. This book is full of them. The Bible, not just the book of Hebrews, but all of this stuff. And so keep coming back to youth group, Sunday school. You will see the promises that God has made, and you will see them fulfilled as we talk more about this.